Welcome into another edition of the Stripe Show podcast. And man, I'm excited about today. This is a guest I've wanted to have on for a while. I know Travis has had Darius on in the past, but ladies and gentlemen, we got Darius Rucker, golfer extraordinaire, country music. Is there anything you don't do, Darius?
There's a lot I don't do.
I don't know about that, man. You know what? Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your time. It's a strange time in golf.
Yeah, there's a whole new crop of golfers coming up that are coming from nowhere and playing great golf, and you have to learn their names and everything and learn who they are because we've been with Phil and Rory and JT and Justin and all those guys for so long that we're just used to them being around. But now there's a whole new crop of guys that are playing great golf.
There is, and I know you know more than anybody with the intercollegiate stuff you do, that these guys coming out of college, they're ready to win now. They don't need 3 or 4 or 5 years to ramp it up anymore.
Oh yes, there's some guys coming out of college that, like you said, I mean they're playing amazing golf. They don't need that time to get assimilated to the tour because they're ready to play that level of golf right now.
Yeah, no, the Open was good. Brian Harman wins big. Some people say it was quote boring because he got out to such a big lead and then never did come back to the field. A lot of people thought he would, and actually, after the first couple holes on Saturday, he'd made a couple bogeys, and he said he walked off of a green. And some guy said to him, "Hey, Harman, you don't have the stones for this." And that really kind of that changed everything for him because somebody said something nasty to him.
Oh, I understand that. You get motivation from a lot of places, and people saying nasty things to you can sometimes really motivate you. And he got it together. You're right. Bogey those 2 holes, and you expected, okay, you're thinking, okay, here we go. Because it's the Open, the pressure, all that stuff. Who's going to win the Open by 5? Not some kid. And
Right.
he goes out, and that guy said what he said. He pulled himself together, and he dominated.
Yeah, he never looked back. And if at one point there were like 6 or 7 guys tied for second, but they were 5 or 6 shots back, so it didn't feel that close. If it weren't for Harman being in such a huge lead, we really would have had a packed leaderboard.
Oh yeah, I mean it would have been chock full of excitement coming down the stretch if he hadn't been in the lead. But he was playing so well that you could just take that away. He was playing better than everybody else.
Yeah,
and that's why he won like the way he won.
He was. Now what's going to happen is now this, some guys that we're used to seeing play so well all the time, every year, this year are struggling a little bit. I know Justin Thomas is actually going to play the 3M this week. 11 of the top 50 in the world rankings trying to play their way into the FedEx Cup playoffs as we get down to the end of the season.
Yeah, but that's golf. That's the game we choose to play. Sometimes you're struggling, you don't know why you're struggling, you're trying to fix it, and you're doing everything that you think you've been doing when you were doing everything right, but it doesn't work. And that's where a bunch of those guys are right now. Trying to figure out how to make it work, and that's golf. That's the game we choose to play.
It is, so I just saw Darius here in Jacksonville just last week, and we were talking a lot of golf, and it's so frustrating where some days you like your long game's great, but then your short game sucks or you can't putt, and then there's other days you feel like you're putting into a Home Depot bucket or a garbage can, the hole's so big, and then that day your driver's shit. Like it's so difficult to get it all together at one time.
Oh, it's such an amazing game. The games are so frustrating because you're absolutely right. Like, there are all those moments when you get it all right and you go out and you shoot some amazing score and, you're all excited and you're happy and your handicap drops like a lead balloon. But most of the days it's just trying to get something to work. Like today, I couldn't putt to save my life.
Really?
I couldn't hit a putt to save my life today. It was shocking. I bet I lipped out 7 or 8 putts today. But it's just that's the game, man.
Right.
And like you said, some days you can hit your iron, some days you can't hit your woods. But you're always out there trying to figure it out. I tell you that much.
It is. It is. It's difficult. Now, how do you get a chance to play? Because when I talk to you, I ask you, how much do you play? And I didn't expect you to give me the answer that you gave. How do you find a way to play? You said this year you might play 300 rounds.
Yeah, I think it's going to come up to close to 300 because when we're on the road, everything happens after 6,
Right.
and And so, we're pulling into these venues at 7 or 8 in the morning because we left the night before, and it's just nothing to do, so we go play golf. And at home, all my kids are out of school and they're moving on with they're pretty much adults, and there's really nothing else to do when you're sitting around unless you got
Right.
an appointment or something. So I live here in Nashville. I live right on the golf course, so that makes it easier too.
Yeah. So before we go, I'm going to ask you for some tips. By the way, I got a 20-year-old, and he's heading off to the PGA management program at Florida Gulf Coast in Naples,
Oh,
Florida.
nice.
So I'm going to be an empty nester, and so I'm
Yep.
like, who am I going to play golf with? Who am I going to watch football with? Like, what am I going to do when he's gone?
Oh, I know that feeling. I got an 18-year-old who's going to NYU, and we play a lot of golf together, and football's our thing. And he says now I'm coming back to every Gamecock game on Saturday. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave the city to come to Columbia.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what mine said. He's like, Dad,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back for the Gator games. I'm gonna come back for our Buccaneer games, or you can meet me in Tampa. I'm like, no, you're not. You're gonna be playing golf in a college town or on an internship somewhere up in the Northeast at some crazy good golf course. He's gonna have no desire to come back home and play golf.
Exactly. But that's all right. That's why we raise the way we do, so they can go out and be who they are.
Yeah, I tell my wife we would have failed as parents if he's sitting on our couch for the rest of his life. They got to get out and do their own
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
They got to. So I know the AT&T Pro-Am it's something you've played a lot of, and you said you played a lot of years, and you and Jim always played together. And then in 1 year you didn't play. Fury goes and wins the damn thing.
Dude, it was so unbelievable. Like we play like 5, 6 years in a row together, and I don't even make the cut once, let alone win it. And then 1 year I went to Europe, and so I couldn't play it. And he goes out and he wins the doggone thing, man. I wanted to kill him. I was texting him, "Are you like when he go? I think he like played great on the first day, played great every day." And I just remember texting him on Thursday, "Are you serious? If you win this thing, I'm gonna kill you, man." And he goes out, and he wins it. But I was happy for him, but I still give him trash about that one.
No, he's good. How many times have you played the AT&T Pro?
Oh gosh, probably been 13, 14, maybe even more times than
Is
that.
that your favorite tour event to play?
Yeah, by far. I
Is it-
mean, by far. It's just so much fun.
I mean, it really is. It seems like a lot of guys get together, and it's probably a time you see some guys only that time of year.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of guys who are friends of mine who I only see them that weekend because they're working and I'm working. They live in LA, I live in South Carolina and Nashville. It's like not like you're crossing paths a lot. So that's the week that we really hang out and go to dinner and go out and have some drinks and just have a good time.
Yeah. So everything going on with the tour, I'm sure you stay up to date on at first it was LIV, then we thought LIV was going to go away, and then LIV kind of was a real thing, and there were guys going and not going, and that was kind of the thing. And then all of a sudden we got the bombshell a couple months ago of like, hey, by the way, we're going to come together. And we had Adam Hadman on, and he explained exactly what the merger is. It is not really a complete merger. It really is going to be they're forming a for-profit. I know Jay's over a lot of things, and there's been a lot of talk. Me personally, I just feel bad for the guys that stayed that probably were offered. I mean, whether it's Zalatoris or Hideki Matsuyama, if you believe the money that was rumored they were offered, and yet they stayed.
I'm with you 100%. Those are the guys that I feel awful for. Like Rory and Tiger. I'm sure they offered Tiger almost $1 billion.
Yeah, they said they did. They said it was in the high nines.
And out of his loyalty to the PGA Tour, he says no. And now they just say, okay, well, we're gonna, he could have made that $9 million and still been a part of the PGA Tour.
Right.
That 900 million, it's really, I understand that money runs everything.
It does.
And anybody thinking anything else is wrong. Money
Right.
runs everything. And whatever you think about LIV morally or whatever, the fact that I just, even when people like it's going to go away, I believed. I said to a friend once, I was like, they're going to offer so much money, they're not going to be able to say no.
Yeah, it seems like it had gotten to a point where there were so many lawsuits that LIV had an endless supply, a bottomless fund of cash to just continue suing. The PGA Tour doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And people say, well, how could this happen? Well, nobody ever dreamed that somebody would come in with an endless pot of money and just come after the tour. And that's essentially what happened. Greg Norman had an axe to grind, found somebody with an endless pot of money, and now here we are.
Yeah, and and they're going to do what they're going to do, and the people are going to watch. They're going to watch, and
Have you
that's
watched
really.
any LIV, Darius?
I haven't watched one tournament. No,
You haven't.
no. I feel kind of bad because I turned down LIV money to do a show for my loyalty PGA Tour.
Did you really?
Yeah, yeah. And because of my loyalty to the tour and the stuff that I've done with them and like to do with them, and those are the guys that I really feel bad for, or Tiger and Rory, who could have I mean, they're already rich. Don't get me wrong, but they could have made another fortune.
Right. And they just said no. Now, there has been talk of them in the for-profit entity that they're forming, that they would get a piece of that, the players that stayed. But my question is, I mean, there's so many questions. Is how do you decide who gets, if it's a percentage, who gets what percentage? Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
How do you decide who comes back? And so if you let, like, for example, I don't know about you, I feel like some guys handled it better than others.
Yes.
Like, I feel like Dustin Johnson, he was honest. He just said, hey, listen, I'm able to do the same thing I've been doing, make way more money and play less. I'm going because of the money. And that's it. He didn't trash the tour. He didn't sue the tour. He just disappeared, went and did his thing, got his check, and he's been fine. That's different than the guys like Phil or like Patrick Reed or Bryson, who have all been a part of this lawsuit, who wanted to seemingly go play the tour. I mean, go play LIV, but then have the right to come back and play the tour. Those are the people I have the issue with.
I do too. Those are, I think, I agree with you. Dustin did it, I thought, the right way. He
I don't like it, but I understand why. I understand why and how he did it.
I don't like it, but he didn't say I don't love the PGA Tour.
Right.
He just said I can come over here and make a lot more money and work a lot less. Okay, cool. He didn't trash the tour. But the stuff that Phil and those guys did, and then suing the tour because I guess LIV money wasn't enough. You want to come play on the tour too? I mean, what? It was wrong. But the thing is, golfers always all have a big egos and big sense of self-worth, I think, especially the guys on the tour, the guys playing out that level. And, some of them took it too far, I think.
Yeah. Where do you stand on, like football? Their argument is, and we had Jason Kokrak on here on the podcast right before, and he was, you could tell he was leaning that way. And he had said, well, if a professional football player goes out and plays football and they win 0 games, everybody gets paid, or a baseball player or whatever. They felt as if there needed to be a pay structure on guys. If you miss 10 cuts in a row, you lose money.
Oh yeah.
And the answer was, well, then play better.
I agree with that. I agree that I think the PGA with their not-for-profit status and all that stuff, and they're making all that money off the tournaments, because they are making tons of money off the tournaments. They don't pay they're not the ones paying the winners and all the guys making money. It's the sponsors,
right,
that are paying them, and then the sponsors got to pay the PGA to be a part of the tournament. And so it's like, they got money, and they obviously have money because they're starting to spend it. But I really think those guys, because if you, like you said, if you go out and you miss 5 cuts, you're losing a lot of money.
Right, because you got to pay your travel, you got to pay your caddy, you've had to pay to get in the tournament.
All that stuff, exactly. You have to pay all of that stuff, and you didn't make any money. So yeah, I think a pay scale for guys that on the lower end that aren't making cuts and stuff, I think that would help a lot.
Yeah, and I think that would have solved a lot of issues. But I don't think anybody, like we said, I don't think anybody ever saw somebody coming in with this kind of money. I mean, billions of dollars with no return on investment.
That's the thing that get me. The only thing this is good for the Saudis is what they're doing is trying to whitewash everything else. Everything else, all the bad stuff that they've done through sports, and saying, hey, look at us here. We are, we're in bed with the PGA Tour. We're in bed with the WWE. They're trying to whitewash all that stuff through.
Now they want to have
sports.
a ladies tour, which, can you imagine that?
Oh, dude, and can you imagine if they really do that, that the LPGA is over.
Right.
Over.
I mean,
Because the money they
their
will pay
track
those,
record in history
yeah,
on the treatment of women is awful.
awful. But the money they'll pay the women, all of them will go.
Right. I mean, it's money rule. And listen, and you're obviously much smarter in the business world. You understand money changes everything.
It changes everything. It rules everything. It is the root of all evil.
I mean, where do you see the tour in 3 years?
Oh, I mean, right now they're saying they're not going to live. 3 years. I see live in the PGA Tour being one.
Being one.
I see everybody playing that wants to PGA events and live events and PGA events being pretty much the same thing. I really expect that.
Now, I will
I don't,
admit, it is better when all the best players are playing a tournament. It is better.
it is, it is. But we say that, but then we say the Open was boring because
Right.
one person ran away with it, and
Right.
everybody was playing that. So it's
Right.
like, golf is better when guys are playing well, and it's Sunday, and they're a couple shots away, and we have 5 holes to watch. And any of those 3 or 4 guys can win it. That's fun. I don't care who it is. I don't care what their names are. That's
Right.
fun.
If you remember, the
but
RBC Canadian Open was phenomenal.
that was so much fun to watch.
Right.
And the Canadian win it made it even better.
Right.
To
Nick
watch.
Taylor drains that long
Yeah.
putt on Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, there was ebbs and flows. It looked like Taylor was going to win, then it looked like Fleetwood was going to win. I mean, it looked like all over the place.
Yeah.
Then,
And that's fun. And
right.
I think this merger is going to be a lot. It's going to let the best golfers still play. And still play together.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely exciting times. Golf has been more in the news, whether it's good or bad. And I don't think this thing is, I mean, now we've got to I think the government's got to approve it. And it doesn't, as the last couple of weeks, it didn't look great for that. But my question is, if the government says no, then what happens? Does everybody defect?
Well, I've thought of this too. I mean, if the government says you can't do this, then what happens? Then what happens? I really expected eventually, if they didn't merger, that eventually the Saudis would just go, why are we doing this? We're hemorrhaging money.
Right.
And then I wanted to see what the PGA Tour was going to do with all those guys that wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But it's like, they just, when you're making billions a day selling oil,
there's no end to the money. There is no end.
No, there is no. They can pay. They wanted to pay Tiger $1 billion to not play, just say I'm with the LIV. I mean, it's not like Tiger can go and play every tournament. Well, like Tiger can play a lot of tournaments.
Right.
But you're going to give him $1 billion just to come say I play with the LIV Tour.
Right.
That's crazy money, man.
But it's weird. It feels like when you're there, they own you to a percentage. Because I know you didn't watch much, but when Bubba Watson first went, he wasn't able to play. I think he was injured. So he was an announcer. So it feels like they tell you what you're going to do. Now, obviously, Tiger's contract would be vastly different.
Yes.
But it feels like they're in control once they give you that much money, and that would make sense.
Yeah. And that's really what it is. But, you also look at the guys like Dustin Johnson and Pat Perez. And those guys, like the guys like Pat Perez and Harold Varner, those guys weren't winning on the PGA Tour. They weren't making any real, weren't getting the money that the LIV gave them.
Right.
And so why not? Yeah, I probably would have gone too.
Yeah, for those people, it made sense.
Yes,
I do feel like for some people it made sense. Others I didn't. The one I've always brought up, and we've talked about it here on the podcast, and he had been a guest on the podcast a couple of times, was Taylor Gooch. I felt like Taylor Gooch's star was really rising. And I feel like he would have made a lot of money on the tour. I understand why he went.
He was the guy that surprised me too. And when you hear how much you got, you say to yourself, you could have made that on the tour in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, Hudson Swafford, another one.
And the thing is, because you get, then for me as a guy who's I love the tradition of golf. I'm thinking, you go to LIV and you never, I mean, how hard is it for you? Is going to be for you to play into the majors?
Right.
When those young guys that didn't have the status that Cam Smith has because he won the Open, so he gets to play the Open, or
Right.
Dustin has because he's won all those tournaments, he still gets an exemption because he's a winner. Then so what are you going to do? You don't get to. What if you don't get to play Augusta? Who wants to be a professional golfer and not have a chance to win Augusta?
Right.
Who wants to be a professional golfer and not have a chance to win the AT&T at Pebble Beach? I mean, it's just like the guys that took the little money and went just because it was guaranteed money. I just didn't get it. I was like, what about all the traditions that you're walking away from?
Right. No, you're right. I agree. See, speaking of Augusta, I know we had talked on last Thursday night, and I asked you, I said, what's your 3 favorite golf courses to play? And what was your answer?
Augusta, Augusta, and Augusta.
Exactly.
Uh,
I mean, I've never played it. It really truly is that special.
it's so special. It's my favorite place in the world to be when I'm there. Whenever I get to go there, I can't believe it. And I played quite a few times.
What's your
I used
best
to
round
drive
there?
79's my best round there.
Damn.
But
That's playing.
but I played well that day. Played really well that day. But it's just, man, it's not, the course is amazing. It's the best golf course in the world. I played a lot of the big ones, and it's the best golf course in the world. But when you're walking around and you're thinking about, oh, Jack hit that shot from here, or Tiger hit that shot from here, or Watson hit that shot from here.
Right.
When you're walking around, those places, it's just nothing like it.
Right. That's unbelievable. I mean, I've talked to people who have been, they said it's like a postcard. It's like
Oh,
walking in a postcard.
oh yeah, it's a painting. It's truly unbelievable. It is. It is. Like I said, it's my favorite place in the world to be.
Wow. Now you said that I know we were talking about when we were talking about golf. You said that you found and this made me feel a lot better about my game. You said that you get tips off of YouTube, and I'm like, I'm not the only idiot sitting at home on my couch searching YouTube for golf tips.
My Matt Killen is my coach, but Matt goes all over the country coaching all these guys, and I never really get to see him ever. And so I'm a YouTube guy now, and I think my handicap right now is like 2 or something like that.
Damn.
And the reason, but I did shoot 84 today, so it doesn't matter. But but the reason I'm playing so well when I'm playing well is YouTube. I get these little drills. Like my short game is all YouTube. I mean, I've got this great drill that this
Yeah.
guy
So
did.
what is that? You said you found something that changed it for you.
I found a drill that made sense to me. It was one guy, I don't remember his name, but he was just saying when you hit, he said hold off. And when he said hold off, it clicked with me. And when I chip, that's what I do. That's what I look like. I think I'm doing. When I see it, I'm following through. But I'm feeling like I'm holding off. And my chipping is light years better than it was before that drill. And it's consistent and it's great. And ball striking is the same thing. I get so many drills off of YouTube for ball striking when I'm not hitting it well, just to figure out a way. And you go out and you do those drills, man, and they help.
Who's the best stick in Nashville? And the reason I ask is up until about 6-8 months ago, when you would ask, you would get one of 3 names. I always got one of 3 names when I would ask. It was either you, Jake Owen, or Charles Kelly. Those were usually the 3 names I got of the best players in Nashville. However, in the last 6 months, it's changed. So I want to see if you name the same person that I've heard in the last 6 months.
The guy who I think is the best stick in Nashville is Vince Gill.
Oh, really?
Vince can beat all of us.
Really?
It's either Vince or Jake. I'd love to see Vince and Jake play around. That would be a war. But
recently,
Dustin
I've heard
Johnson,
George Burge is ridiculous.
I haven't played with him. I've heard Jordan can really play, and I haven't played with him. But you know who can play and doesn't play? Dustin Johnson. Oh my God, not Dustin.
Dustin Lynch.
Dustin Lynch. I played with now you got me talking about Dustin Johnson. I played with Dustin. I called Dustin up once and said, "Hey man, I got this tournament. I need a 4th to come out and play with me." And he goes up. We played. And he shoots 77, and he said, "Oh, I haven't played in about a year and a half."
Right.
What?
Yes. I'll tell you. I hit balls in Vegas with him at Topgolf at an iHeart event. Yeah. He was part of our iHeart Festival a couple years ago in Vegas. And we hit balls at a Topgolf in Vegas, and he did not miss. He did not miss. I'm like, this guy knows how to play.
I told him when we played that day, I was like, dude, if you would be scratch in like a month. He was like, yeah, I know. I'm going to get back into it. He says he's back into it now, but I think that if he really played a lot, he would be right up there with Vince and Jake.
Yeah, Cole Swindell and Luke Bryan are pretty good.
Yeah, I played with Cole the other day. I love playing with both of those guys. They're fun to play. Luke's always fun to play with, man. He's so funny. It's nonstop laughter when you're playing with Luke.
He played good. We played Sawgrass, and he was 1 over on the back 9. We only got 9 in because it started raining, but he was 1 over on the back. He was playing great that day. He said he was like lights out, that he's usually not that good. But I mean, he did hit some pretty miraculous shots.
Him and I are coached by the same guy. Like Matt lives in our neighborhood here, and so it's like he coaches a bunch of us. But it's great to see those guys like Kane Brown. Like I played a show with him the other day, and we tried to play together, but and we had obligation. But it's like everybody plays now, and they got that thing that I tell everybody. It's like, stop drinking till 3 a.m. Drink till 1. Get up at 7 or 8 and go play golf.
Yep.
You got nothing else to do all day. Why you sleep until noon? Go play golf.
It is. That's exactly. You know what? That's exactly it. And all you got to do is have one decent round. You're hooked, and then you only need one decent shot per round. Because then you think you'll say to yourself, "How many times have you said this? I got it figured out. I know what I'm doing wrong."
A couple days ago. I shot 69 a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I got it. I got this figured out. I know what my problem is. I got this. I shot 84 today.
Right.
No, I don't have it.
No, the truth is I think Tiger said it, is I've never hit it. I've never had a perfect round. And it's funny. I read this in a magazine too. I think it was Cooch said this, that in a normal round of golf, Matt Kuchar said he might hit one shot absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
In one round. And he's once again, one of the best players in the world. So that tells me I'm never that. I am
it
what I am.
It doesn't happen. Exactly. It doesn't happen. I was playing with Tiger once, and he's talking trash to me. He's just talking trash. This is when he was number 1 in the world. And he's just talking trash. And so I'm on the 5th hole. He's up 5, of course. You know, I've had two pars, and he birdied both of those holes. So he's killing me. And he's like, man, he said, are you going to beat me in 8 holes? And I looked at him and said, hey, man, I'm number 7,613,000 in the world. You're number 1. And you're sitting there talking trash to me. And then we get to 17, and I was so mad at him when he did this. We get to 17, and he goes, hey, man, you know what you've been doing wrong all day? Is he what? And he gives me a tip. And I go par birdie on 17, 18, striping the ball down the middle. And I say, why freaking can you tell me that on like 3 or 4? He's like, because I wanted to beat your brains out.
That's awesome. I know you and Tiger are boys, right?
Yeah.
And have been for a long time.
Since he was 18, a long, long time.
So you've been there through it all, the ups, the downs, the medical stuff, everything.
All of it, sang at his wedding, sang at his father's funeral. Yep. We've been through a lot of it.
How is Tiger doing?
He's doing good. He's always great. He's always in great spirits and everything. The accident is what it is, but I'm hoping he gets out there and plays the Masters. I hope he goes out and plays the majors that he can physically play. I think it's hard for him to walk with after the surgeries and everything. But see it anytime Tiger Woods is on the golf course, it's good for golf.
And how good is Charlie?
Charlie's going to be a player. He's going to be a little. He can play, man, and it's just so funny watching him because he's just so much like Tiger. There's so much alike. It's awesome.
There's a lot of this too, right? A lot of
chirping. Oh yeah. Charlie can play.
He's a chip off the old block.
He's Tiger's son, no doubt about that.
What's your in all your years of playing with Tiger? Did you ever beat him?
Never, not once. Never.
Never. You come close?
Never come close. I'll tell you a story. We were playing Isleworth one day, and he's beat me on the 18th green. So I say, I was supposed to get a stroke. I said I'll get rid of my stroke, but if I win the hole, it's 1.5. It's double enough. It's like double for you, but if I win, I get half of what I'm losing.
Right.
So 2.5 to 1. He's like, sure, absolutely. So I hit this drive. And he hits his drive, and he hit it into he hit his second shot. I hit my second shot on the green to about 14 feet. He hit his into a sand trap. And it's short-sighted.
Oh, so you're going to win.
Short side. I'm thinking he's going to be a little long. He got a chance to miss the putt. He gets up and he sinks it and looks at me and says, "I told you you'll never beat me." He stunk
Oh,
it.
did you tell him F off?
Of course I did. Of course I did. And then I go home and he calls me and he gives me a rundown of how he's going to spend my money. That was
Oh,
very nice. Yeah, that was
oh,
very
so he
nice.
paid. Oh, so he collected.
Oh, he's collected.
He collects, no problem.
Oh yeah, he's collected.
That's awesome, man. I tell you, you've now been you've been a big PXG ambassador ever since PXG's kind of been around, Darius. You've kind of been, for lack of a better term, the face of PXG.
I've been with them for 5 or 6 years now, and I love it. I love it. I love the clubs. I love Bob. Bob is one of my best friends, and I love what they're doing for golf and everything he does for the veterans, and all he does for ladies golf. I mean, I just love being a part of that organization, and the clubs are the best clubs in the world.
Yeah, I mean they really are. I mean they can dial them in more than probably anything I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. They're fittings for people. I see so many guys go and they get fitted, and their handicaps drop in a couple months because you're just hitting. The clubs are so forgiving, and your bad shots aren't that bad.
What are you playing right now?
I'm playing PXG's Gen 6s.
Gen 6s.
Yeah.
Now do
Yeah.
you get an early set when they come out?
I do. I do.
I figured that.
I do.
I figured that. That's cool. I see you got a star coming out on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's cool.
That is so cool. That there's a lot of things you dream about and you think about having. That's something that I never even dreamt about.
Really?
No. I'm still just that kid from South Carolina at heart. I found out on Twitter.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No one called us. I found that in the news, man.
That's so awesome. And what's funny is that I was one of those people that if somebody had made me bet money, does Darius Rucker have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? I would have lost money because I would have said absolutely. I'd have bet my house on it.
Well, I will now. Thank goodness. That's actually a pretty cool thing.
I mean, your career goes pretty deep. I mean, let's be honest. When did you guys start at Hootie?
Well, Hootie's been a band 40 years, but next year is the 30th anniversary of Cracked Review.
Cracked Review is 30 years old.
Yeah. Damn. I know, right? I'm old, bro.
Now, you guys are still doing. Now, it's funny. I was talking to a friend just the other day, and she said she was in Raleigh in February, and some girlfriends of hers called and said, "Hey, Hootie and the Blowfish is going to be here tonight." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, great. Darius isn't going to be there. I'm not going." And they're like, No. Darius is there too." And she said it was the most amazing show she had seen. She was like, it took her right back to the 90s when she was watching you guys then.
Oh, the NHL asked us to do that, and we came and did it for them, and it was so much fun. Such a great show, and we still play. We're actually talking about maybe doing something next year for the 30th anniversary or something. That we're banging that around, but we're always a band. There's always these charity things that we do every year and stuff, and we just never really said we're not a band anymore.
What do you enjoy more? And I know you're not performing technically by yourself. You've got a band with you on stage, but I know it's a different atmosphere in the Hootie and the Blowfish days versus the Darius Rucker days. What is the difference, and what do you enjoy more?
Oh, the difference is, today with my country stuff, the whole stage is mine. I mean, it's the Darius Rucker show,
right?
And Hootie, we're a band, man. We're four guys.
It's everybody
that consider ourselves absolute equals out there. So, we respect each other's stage space, and we have a lot of fun. And Hootie's fun, but the country thing has just become so awesome. I mean, it's so
Isn't
awesome
the country format just awesome?
I'm so glad to be a part of it. The people, I mean, and it's like the friends I have in radio, the friends I have, over the labels and stuff. It's just country music. The artist friends I have. It was never like that when I was in pop music, and I love that.
No, it's not. I was in pop radio. I started in pop radio in the early 90s and did pop until just like a year ago, and then really started getting involved in the country world at iHeart. And it is completely two different worlds. It could not be more 180 degrees different.
I try to explain to people, and some people think I'm exaggerating, but it's like it's a totally different world. The one thing I said about country music that I thought was great when I came here was that everybody's pulling for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nobody. When you talk to somebody, you see somebody, you really feel like that person realizes that there's room for all of us
Right.
if you're good enough.
Right.
But over in the pop world and the rock world, it's all competition, man. It's
It
all
is. They feel like if you make it, then it's going to mean they can't make it.
yeah. They feel like if you make it, it's taken away from their airplay.
Right.
You get airplay, it's taken away from their airplay. So it's like, and that sucked. I mean, I like it a lot better over here.
Yeah. And with everything going on in the world, I know there's some controversy going on with Jason Aldean right now, but to see the way that the country fan base gets behind an artist when something does go a little bit south and when there's some what I like to call fake outrage, I like the way the country audience gets behind their favorite audience, their favorite artist, and supports them and gets them through to
Yeah, that was one thing I also said that country fans are just loyal. Don't get me wrong; they want to hear the new thing, but they always know that I want the next big thing, but I also want that blanket, that
right.
old blanket that's been around a while, making me happy and making me smile and I want that too,
Yeah.
and I love that.
Oh yeah, throwbacks in country are always going to be a thing. Like
Yep.
you play a George Strait record, everybody like their ears perk up. Hey, I love that song.
Yeah.
If you play something from the '80s to the pop crowd, they're like, "Who's that?" They don't even know who that is.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
So it's
100%.
cool. You're in the Carolinas this weekend?
I am. I'm playing in Anderson, South Carolina, and Boone, North Carolina.
Oh,
Oh,
Boone. My sister graduated from Appalachian State.
Appalachian State. Yeah, but we got some guy, my sound guy, who's been with us for 37 years with Appalachian State. So I love going to that. I love going to Boone, man.
Yeah, and then you're in Atlantic Beach.
And then Atlantic Beach playing. Yeah, a nice little a place for a friend of
Yep.
mine. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I lived in North Carolina for a little while, we had we spent summers in Emerald Isle, Morehead City. So
Ah,
that's right
cool.
there.
I know it. I know it well.
That is right there. Well, Darius, thanks for coming on, man. We're going to ask you. We do this right at the end. We do a quick 9 questions. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Some are golf related, some are not, and you just give me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Worst shot you've ever hit with the best outcome.
Oh my goodness. I sculled a chip one time, but when I sculled it, it went up, like kind of up in the air. It didn't really stay on the ground, and it hit the flag right in the middle and just rolled down the flag into the hole. It was awesome.
There you go. Count. They don't draw pictures on scorecards.
No, they do not.
Your favorite sports team or athlete? I guess, and I know this one.
My favorite athlete is Dan Marino. My favorite sports team. I have to say that it's a tie between the Dolphins and the Gamecocks, but for my favorite sports team.
Which they've had a rough time, but you know what? They're both on the upswing right now.
Yeah, we're both the Jeffersons right now, moving on up.
I don't know if you saw this or not. Speaking of your Gamecocks, College Game Day is going to be at the UNC South Carolina game, and the odds-on favorite to be the guest picker right now, did you know, is Darius Rucker.
Oh, I heard that. I will be singing the anthem at that game, so who knows?
You could be the guest picker. Last time it was 2014. Chesney picked.
Yep, it could be. I hope so.
That's good company. Go-to food on the road.
Oh, of course, pizza. It's just so easy.
It is.
It's just so easy.
It's hard to mess that up too.
Yep.
Now this is going to be a tough one, but I mean, maybe not. Most famous number in your cell phone.
Oh, Tiger
Woods. Okay,
yeah,
I figured that.
Yeah.
Player you'd be most nervous to be paired with if you played a PGA Tour event.
Oh, good question. Most nervous would be, I don't know. Most nervous probably Brooks Koepka, because I don't want to play slow and piss him off.
He'll call you out.
Probably Brooks. I don't want Brooks calling me out for slow play.
Your favorite track to play? You already answered that. Other than Augusta, where else? Pebble.
Pebble's great. I like Southern Highlands in Vegas. Bulls Bay at home. Yeamans at home. The Country Club with Charleston at home. Those are great tracks.
Your favorite city or venue to play music in?
Favorite venue. If God came down and said you got one more gig, it would be at Red Rocks.
Really?
Yeah,
it's that special.
It's just so awesome to play there. I love it so much.
That's awesome. Most money you've won, most money you've lost on the golf course.
Oh goodness, most money I've won. I guess one time I was playing this dude who couldn't play, but he thought he could play, and he wanted to play 100, so I won like $1,300 from that guy.
Nice.
But the most I've ever lost was no, that's not the most I ever won. I was playing with Canelo, the boxer,
Uh-huh.
and a bunch of his friends at a thing, and I won like 17 grand. I
17 G's?
I didn't know the game. When I won, I was like, I could have lost that kind of money. And but the most I've ever lost, I lost 4,000 once playing with a guy who wanted to play thousands.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's
That
a lot. I didn't want to do it, but he talked me into it. He talked a lot of trash.
Every time you play with Tiger, you play for money?
Every time.
Every time. Music on the golf course, yours or someone else?
Oh, always someone else's. I got me a few playlists. I don't ever listen to my stuff, man. I play that enough Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights.
Well, Darius, I appreciate it. New song out right now called Fires Don't Start Themselves. Great record. Appreciate your time, man. I love how much you love golf. Like, I know you love music. Obviously, you've been doing it for 30 years. You don't do anything for 30 years you don't love. But your love for golf is awesome as well.
Yeah, I love the game. I mean, the days I don't play, the night before I have to sit down and talk myself into not playing.
Really?
I just want to, because I just want to play every day. Like, I
Wow.
want to get up every day and go play golf. I just love the game so much.
It is a great game, man. I appreciate your time, though, man. We really, really appreciate it. We'd love to have you on again sometime.
Love to, man. Good talking to you, Froggy.
You got it, man. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Stripe Show podcast.